I am Erica May M. Magdalera, and I am going to discuss the Lesson 4, Constructivist Theory and Teaching MTB, MLE or Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education. Our learning objectives for this day are, at the end of the lesson, students are expected to first, grasp the essence of constructivist learning theory. Second, relate the constructivist learning theory with learning a language. And the last one is formulate methods for teaching MTB through the constructivist approach. What is MTB MLE? It stands for Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education. It is also a bridge the gap between the culture at home and the one at school and in the mainstream society. They not only improve the learning, but they also broaden outlooks, increases tolerance, and foster a respect for cultural diversity. What is constructivism? Constructivism has been byword in education for generations, applied both to learning theory and epistemology, both on how people learn and the nature of knowledge. Constructivist learning theory is based on the idea that people actively construct or make their own knowledge and that the reality is determined by your experiences as a learner. Basically, learners use their previous knowledge as a foundation and build on it with new things that they learn. According to constructivist Jean Piaget, 1896 to 1980, he argues that children are active learners who construct meaning from their environment. Piaget is the proponent of cognitive development theory that explains interconnectedness of knowledge acquisition and language acquisition through qualitative changes of their mental processes as they develop. His theories indicate that humans create knowledge through the interaction between their experiences and ideas. Piaget's cognitive theory explores how children develop. His theory splits development into 4 discrete stages, and his theory plays a pivotal role in his contributions to learning theories. Piaget proposed 4 major stages of cognitive development. The first one is sensory-motor intelligence. The second one is the pre-operational thinking, and the third one is concrete operational thinking, and the last one is formal operational thinking. And now let's proceed to our second constructivist is Lev Vygotsky. Lev Vygotsky's work contains a central scope focused on the social aspect of acquiring knowledge. He suggests that the learner's best are through interacting with others. Through the process of working with others, learners create an environment of shared meanings with peers. By being immersed in the new environment, the learner is able to adapt subjective interpretations to become socially accepted, and culture plays a large role in cognitive development. And now, I will recall to you the views of each constructivist. The first one is Piaget. Piaget's view of learning and language acquisition is centered on the children's changes of logical thinking through the stages based on maturation and experience. And the second constructivist is Vygotsky. Vygotsky's view is centered on the role of culture and social interactions of the children with other children and adults in the environment. If we fully accept the constructivist point of view, we are reminded that knowledge is not just simply out there, divorced from the knower, but a complete process of learning by doing and reflecting. It is both a personal and social process. Learning does not take place if we do not open ourselves to the world around us. Once again, I am Erica May M. Magdalera, and that's all my report. Bye!
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mitzi Grace Dileriba, and my topic for today is all about the pedagogical competencies in teaching mother tongue. For our objectives, at the end of the lesson, students are expected to state their own definition of culture and list other related concepts, explain the various definitions of the culturally responsive education and its principles, and list some examples of the elements of culture from observing their local community's culture. So what is culturally responsive education? According to Gay 2010, culturally responsive education is to use the experiences and frames of reference based on the diverse culture of the students. This means that a culturally responsive education uses the experiences and frames of references as basis for their diverse cultured students. In this way, the subject and the curriculum should be arranged based on the culture dominated the community. Next is, according to Taylor and Sobel 2011, culturally responsive education is an approach to education where the teacher integrates elements of the student's lifestyle and daily experiences in the instruction and the curriculum. This means that culturally responsive education aims to highlight the student's lifestyle and experiences to be included in the approach of instruction and the curriculum. This could help in order for the students to relate and sustain the culture that dominated in their community. Another definition, according to Diller and Moore 2005, culturally responsive education is a type of pedagogy where teachers are competent in a cross-cultural and multicultural settings, which means that a culturally responsive education aims the teachers to become competent in relating with the different cultures or ethnic groups within a society. Another definition from Cartledge et al., culturally responsive education recognizes the uniqueness of the majority and the minority in the body of students. This means that in a culturally responsive education, every culture's differences and uniqueness are respected and valued. So what makes a culture culture? Culture is composed of many elements. Some of these are values, language, symbols, objects, groups, and norms. These elements may be classified into three: the sense-making, the artifacts, and groups. Let's begin with the sense-making. Sense-making is the multiple representations of the meaning of a given object, person, or event. Different people provide different meanings to a certain object. This may depend on their values and their language. To assess the sense-making in a certain community, here are some of the key questions. What values are prominent in the community? What specific words or phrases do they always use? What do they mean by it? Next is the artifacts. Artifacts is defined as anything belonging to a group of people that provides information about the said group's culture. It may include symbols, traditional objects found in archaeological sites, or more modern objects like cell phones, televisions, laptops, and etc. Here are some of the key questions. What objects does the community use or own? What are their significance? What symbols or emblems were used in the community? Last but not the least is the groups. Different cultures usually have subgroups inside which are called subcultures. These are the groups that have their own norms and values that sometimes retain a few of the parent's culture's general principles. Here are some key questions. What significant groups can be found in a community? What are the organizations? What are the expected patterns of behavior or belief in these groups? That would be all for my report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to tackle the language knowledge. The mother tongue or any language may be studied and understood through different aspects. There are 23 knowledge of the language. First, we have phonology. Phonology is the study of the systematic organization of sounds within a given language. Sometimes, this systematic organization called grammar. It is a logic-based pronunciation through which the sounds of certain language can be organized. Phonology is something just really important to learn kapag gusto mong matuto ng good pronunciation in your target language. This is almost never taught in language classes, but I think it has a huge potential to help you to improve your accent in the language that you're learning. For example, do you want to? Do you want to? Do you wanna? Do you wanna? Do you wanna? This simply happens when you try to force your voice to go fast. Next, we have phonemes. It is the distinctive units of sounds within a language that we combine in different ways to make words. Kadalasan sa atin, we accidentally adding a or squa sounds to the end of the consonant. If the students hear it or gayahin nila, maaring mag-reflect ito sa kanilang pagbasa at writing test. To prevent this, it is important to produce only phoneme itself without any additional sounds. An example of this is the sound p, p. Minsan, ang teacher trying to emphasize isolate the phonemes p, p. Instead, focus on producing just a phoneme itself. Example of phonemes. In words file and vile, the word F and V are two different phonemes. Next is the allophones. It is the variant of same phoneme. K in the word kite, it is k. In the word sky, it is k. K. Next, we have morphology. Morphology is defined as the rules of language that govern word formation. On the other hand, it has to do with the components that make up the meaning of word and the process of forming words. For example, a student might learn the word car, which is morpheme. And next, we have the morpheme. Morpheme is the smallest unit of a word that has information about the word's meaning and purpose. For example, the word farmer. There are two morphemes which are farm and er. The farmer indicates an area of land used for growing crops, while the latter indicates a person who works in the said area of land. Next, we have the root word. There is a word to which a prefix can be added to form new words. There are usually nouns, verbs, adjectives, or adverbs. Look at the prefix re and an. We have here an example. Re means again. The root word here is write. The new words become rewrite. So next we have an, meaning not or opposite of. The root word here is happy. Pag pinagsama mo sila, the new word becomes unhappy. Now let's move on to affixes. Affixes are the letters or syllables added before or after a word. By adding affixes, the meaning of the word changes. For example, we read. Next, we have compound words. Compound words are formed by joining together two different words. It is usually distinct from the meanings of the words that make it up. Here are some examples of compound words. Bullfrog, snowball, mailbox, grandmother, and many more. And next we have syntax. It is the study of the rules that govern the structure of sentences. It is defined the rules that need to be followed when forming a sentence from words, clauses, punctuation, and phrases. And next we have constituents. The subunits in a sentence that provide a complete thought, every sentence, every phrase, and every clause. That is to say, every sentence is made up of parts of other things that work together to make the sentence meaningful. For example, in the sentence, my dog Aristotle beat the postal carrier on the ankle. The constituent parts are the subjects, made up of noun phrase, my dog Aristotle, and the predicate, a verb phrase, beat the postal carrier on the ankle. Last, we have syntactic categories. It can substitute for one another without loss of grammaticality. For example, the cat chases the mouse. The dog chases the mouse. The policeman chases the mouse. The mother mouse chases the mouse. That's the end of my report. Thank you for listening.
So once again, good day everyone. I am Malvern Wayne Lumbos, B.Ed student in Ramon Magsaysay. So today, I will continue the discussion of Mr. Lakim about language knowledge. So now, I will going to tackle to you the syntactic category. What is syntactic category? It is a family expression that can be substituted for one another without losing proper grammar. Words or phrases in a language which shares a significant number of common characters. For example, there are 4 syntactic categories in this sentence. The bird is flying above the field. So, the syntactic categories there are the field, above, is flying, and the bird. So, there are at least 3 criteria that are used in defining syntactic categories. First is the type of the meaning it expresses. Second, the type of affixes it takes. And lastly, number 3, the structure in which it occurs. The next one is semantics. Semantics is defined as the study of linguistic meanings. People can absolutely interpret words differently and draw different meanings from them. Semantics involve the deconstruction words, signals, and sentence structure. It influences our reading comprehensions as well as our comprehensions of other people's words in everyday conversation. Semantics play a large part in our daily communication, understanding, and language learning without us even realizing it. For example, in everyday use, a child might make use of semantics to understand a mom's directive. Do your chores as do your chores whenever you feel like it. However, the mother was probably saying do your chores like right now. So that was the example of semantics. Now, for anomaly. So according to Franklin and Rodman and Hyams 2018, a situation when specific words or phrases cannot be combined to make a sense. Now, for example, the phrase colorless green. does not make sense since green is a color and colorless means without color. So now, let us discuss metaphor. So, as we all know that metaphor is a figure of speech where one object or idea is used to refer to another object or idea for rhetorical purposes. For an example, a very popular metaphor that we all know is time is money. So, the statement compares time and money, and it does not literally mean that the amount of time you have equals to the money that you have now. Instead, it means that time is valuable resource and it should be used effectively to earn money. So next one is idioms. So according to Tom 1992, expressions established by societal norms to have meaning aside from what it literally indicates. So, for example, if you have to say someone has cold feet, it doesn't mean their toes are actually cold. Rather, it means they're nervous about something. So, let us now proceed to pragmatics. Pragmatics, rather. Pragmatics is defined as the study of unseen or hidden meanings in different languages apart from its content. The meanings provided by the context and pre-existing knowledge of the perceiver about the utterance. So, the term pragmatics is used in contrast to semantics. Semantics has to do with the actual definition of a word or text, while pragmatics refers to how words are used in practical sense. For example, will you crack the door? I am getting hot. So, semantically, the word crack would mean to break, but pragmatically, we know that the speaker means to open the door just a little to let it some air. So now, we're going to discuss the context. So, we have two types of context. Let us first discuss the physical context. So, this refers to the physical setting of the utterance. The interpretation of utterance depends on the knowledge computable from the physical context of utterance. For example, he is not the chief executive. He is the managing director. So, in linguistic context, this refers to surrounding utterance in the same discourse. So, for example, letter A, who gave the waiter a large tip? Now, in B, the answer is Helen. So, let us now proceed to dixies. So, dixies are words that cannot be identified without the context. For example of these words are here, there, him, her, yesterday, tomorrow. So, there are many more examples, but we are gonna focus there on the. Such expressions depend for their interpretation on the speaker in the hearer sharing the same context. They have their most basic uses in the face-to-face spoken interaction where utterances are easily understood by the people who are present, but many need a translation for someone not right there. For example, I'll put this here. So, in English, the near speaker terms are this, here, or now. And for the away from the speaker, terms will be that, there, and then. So, for elaboration, this follow my discussion further. So, now we are going to tackle the references. So, references are the act of which the speaker specifies an orientation or a position for the dixis. So, here the dixis will occur. Just like what I exampled earlier, I'll put this here. So, in references, it specify where the object is. So, next is the inference. So, in inference, the persevere use of additional information not provided in the utterance in order to understand the message. Now, from our previous example, I'll put this here. Now, here in this example, the person who is aware on what and where the dixis are will create new information so that others become aware also. So instead of saying the sentence again, I'll put this here. The person will say, he put it there, in order for others to understand the message. So did you get it, guys? Okay, let us proceed. So, anaphora. So, our last discussion will be anaphora. So, anaphora is another term, for instance, a pronoun used to identify an object that is being referred for this second time, according to Yule 2016. So, anaphora is when a certain word or phrase is repeated at the beginning of the clauses or sentences that follow each other. So, this repetition emphasizes the phrases which, while adding rhythm to the passage, making it more memorable and enjoyable to read. So, here is the example. Imagine you are frustrated and tired with your friend who is making the same mistakes over and over again. So, here is your line. I am sick of you letting me down. I am sick and tired of you making me mad. And I am sick and tired of doing such silly things. So through the repetition of I am sick and tired, the phrase has become more emotionally changed than before. So, that will be all my discussion about language knowledge. Thank you. Goodbye.